Okay, in the day of digital media and content being king, and I fully understand the need to make sure that you look good on camera. But I know it's difficult to understand what type of camera, microphone, lights, what exactly do you need? So, this week I'll be touching on some key equipment you need to create your YouTube videos or podcasts and so much more. Hi, my name is Anna Gogo, and I'm the founder, creative director here at Adode Media. We are a full-service creative agency specializing in podcast production, branding and design, social media marketing, and we even have a 2,000 square foot recording studio in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia. Now, let's go ahead and dive into some of this equipment here because I recognize when I was first starting out with my content strategy, let's be real, I didn't really actually want to do video. And the reason for this is it felt like it was so many things to think about. Is it the lights that matter? Is it the cameras? Is it the microphone? Like, what exactly am I supposed to be doing? So today, I'm going to just kind of give you guys a little overview of the basics of elements that you need. So first and foremost, of course, because of the fact that we're talking about video, we're going to start off with the camera. And the reason I'm starting off with the camera is because of the fact that, let's be honest, many people think that the key to amazing content, amazing visuals, is the type of camera that you have. When in actuality, that's not really the case. But don't worry, as we talk some more, I'll share what is the thing that you should probably spend a little bit more time and some more money on. But the cameras that we utilize here at Adode Media in our podcast studios are the Sony a6400s. Now, the reason I like the Sony a6400s is for a few different things. One, and the biggest one, because we record in a studio, and this will matter to you depending on how long your content is. It's the cutoff time. So when you are recording, you don't want something like a Canon M50, which, don't get me wrong, I love those. That was one of my first cameras that cuts off at the 30-minute or really the 29-minute time mark. You want something that allows for continuous recording. Now, the big thing here, though, is in order for continuous recording to happen without this overheating, you do actually also need to make sure that you pull the camera screen away from the base. If not, it starts to overheat and it gives you a warning. Another tidbit here is if you are recording by yourself, having the ability to be able to see yourself. So I'm not one of those people who is prone to wanting a mirrorless camera. I know some people love it, and there's extra tools that you can purchase so that this way you can still see yourself. But hey, why create extra avenues when you can just utilize a camera that has the actual screen? So you see how I'm able to pull it up here, and then this way you're able to still see yourself. Another piece to this of why I love this camera is the fact that it does actually let for a dummy battery. So the dummy batteries allow for where I don't want to run out of camera time. I don't want to be thinking about, oh, wait a minute, I'm recording on my own. Is there enough battery life? And so it allows for a dummy battery as well as an SD card component. Now, one of the things I hate about this is getting the SD card in here. I think I'm always going to break it, and I'm never sure if I'm putting it in there the right way. Next up, it's compatibility. Now, it is a small yet powerful camera, but it does have a lot of different components that allow for you to add pieces to it. So I just took off this top piece, and it allows for you to add a flash if you're utilizing it for other purposes, but it also allows for you to add a monitor. I've utilized a small monitor that I bought for like 60 bucks and then just hinged it here whenever I'm recording by myself so that this way I can see myself a little bit better. So those are some of the key components here. My big thing here is, honestly, if I'm being honest, the big thing was about the fact that it had more capabilities as far as its recording time and the fact that it didn't overheat too much. And another big piece is when you are recording for longer than 30 minutes, it does require that you utilize an SD card that has 120 gigabytes or more on it. So that's your pretty standard. That's a Sony a6400, and it ranges from anywhere from about $950 to about $1,500, depending on where you're purchasing it from and getting all the bells and whistles. Next up, because we've talked about cameras, and I know you're probably thinking to yourself, is this a necessity? For me, I think it is if you are a solo creator. The reason for this is it allows for you to record yourself. So this is a little remote. You'll notice it has a little autofocus portion to it. It can connect with a Sony camera, a Canon camera. It is quite portable, and I absolutely love it. It has different features to take a photo of yourself by clicking a button, but it also allows for you to start your recording, end your recording with that same click of a button. It also utilizes autofocus. It has an on-off switch and so much more. You'll notice it can pretty much go on your key ring, so it's quite portable. But the thing about it is, before you have a team, it's important to make things easier for yourself so that way you want to continue to create and you want to actually get in front of the camera. So thinking to yourself, well, I don't have anybody to record this, or I have to get up and do this, do that. Nope, with one click of a button, you're able to start your video recording. So that's your camera as well as your camera remote to get things started. The next thing I want to talk about is your microphone. Now, the Shure SMV7s, I think, are quite good mics. In my microphone review video, which you should check that out, because I do talk through, like, okay, wait a minute, these are the different mics that we have here at the studio, and quite frankly, we have a total of like 4 different ones. But these are the Shure SMV7s, and this one actually has an XLR cable as well as a port to connect to your computer. So if you don't want to do an XLR output, we're a studio, so of course we need that. But if you want to just connect directly to your computer itself, it does have an outlet for that. And if you want to connect your headphones to it. Now, the reason I recommend Shure's, but also just dynamic microphones as a whole, is because the 2-finger rule. Now, if you are recording at home and not in a sound-treated studio like I am, the thing you want to keep in mind is, if somebody is blazing by and making all this noise, or you have kids around and it's just a lot going on in your recording space, you want to make sure you give yourself an opportunity to have a microphone that's not going to pick everything up. Now, I know the Blue Yetis were such a huge mic, and I think it's honestly, I remember back in 2019, it was my first microphone that I purchased because I saw in all the photos, it was photo nice, it looked good, and I remember thinking to myself, I have arrived. When in actuality, that thing picked up every bit of sound. If I breathed too hard, if I took a gulp, if I swallowed my spit too loudly, it heard everything. And the thing about a dynamic microphone is that it's going to pick up what's right in front of you. So if you turn to the left or turn to the right, it's not going to pick that up as much. And that's the thing. That's why I recommend this mic, or dynamic mics as a whole. But the other piece here is this microphone actually also comes with an app where you can control it remotely. Once again, I'm all about helping you do this by yourself, so there's not all these extra elements you have to be worried about. It also has these different gauges to help with muting the microphone, increasing the volume, and those type of details. I'm just utilizing a basic stand from Samsung, and you don't have to have one because most of these microphones come with their own. Since we are on the topic of audio, let's go ahead and talk about your audio interface, and let's talk about when you need one. So before we kind of dive in and share this little nifty tool, I want to kind of share a few things. If you're recording at home by yourself, you do not, let me say this again, you do not need an audio interface. You can record directly into your computer on your DAW, which is your editing software. So that could be, if you're on an Apple product, that could be on GarageBand. Audacity works for non-Apple products, and you can record directly into that. You can also record directly into QuickTime because you're just by yourself. If you have a good microphone, it's able to pick you up, make you crisp, and there's no need really for an interface. So with that said, though, if you are recording with other people, you do need an interface. I want to make sure that I kind of talk through this. Now, if you've watched my How to Start a Podcast video, I talk through extensively different interfaces that you can utilize, from the Focusrite to you. See, I'm struggling. From the Focusrite to the Rodecaster, I've talked about different ones. Now, because I am in the studio, they are out in different studios. But I picked up our travel one, which is the Zoom H8. Now, the thing about the Zoom H8, I love it because it's compact and it can travel with you. It's battery operated, but there's also a power outlet here as well. So it's not one of those things where it has to be battery operated because of the fact that the battery life does die pretty quickly, if I'm being honest. It's their headphone jacks, as well as different levers for each sound panel. So as you'll see, there's different inputs for each of your microphones. It also kind of opens up to create another lever of audio. So it does actually come with this microphone that you can put here as well and kind of use it as a handheld without utilizing an XLR cable. You'll notice that it has XLR outputs, so you would have to have an XLR microphone to utilize this. But if you're just like, on the road, on the go recording, you can do this as well. But this is one of those things that's a nice to have. It's not something that you have to utilize, especially, once again, if you're recording your video content separately by yourself at home. You don't really need an interface. I would highly recommend recording into a system that's already on your computer just to make life easier for you. Now, let's come over into lights. Now, you know what? Actually, before we come into lights, let me talk about the tripod. And a tripod, you're probably thinking to yourself, Anna, this is basic. I recognize that I need a tripod. But here's the thing. Everybody actually who works at this studio has a tripod that's their favorite. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, it is literally something that just holds up your camera. Please do not try tripods in such a fashion. They have so many different other functionalities in that you want something that's ease of use. And my big thing is its ability for it to easily rotate, because if you want to get real content, you can turn your camera sideways so that way you can get that. You also want something that is easily able to kind of be adjusted to go up and down, as well as tell you, hey, this is balanced. And this is what this little bubble, I guess you would call it, balancing element shows. It can expand quite high. This one I think goes up to about, I'm 5'10", so about like almost 6 feet. We'll definitely make sure we put the details, but a tripod can make your life easier because you don't want something that's stagnant for your camera, because then if you're trying to get content for reels and that's all you're recording, you want something that gives you that flexibility to turn the camera sideways. Now, back to the good old lighting, because that piece was very important for a lot of people, or a lot of people underestimate. Some people spend so much time and so much money on investing in a good camera, not recognizing that if you don't have good lights, it doesn't matter what you do. Your video content is just not going to pop the way that you would like it to. So it's very important that you invest in good lighting. And the thing when I say invest is because lighting is not cheap. So here at the studio, we utilize mainly, and by mainly, I want to say 2 to 3 of the studios utilize the NAN lights. And the ones that we actually use is the FS300Bs. Now, this is the FS300, and this one, the B means it's bicolored. So this one is not a bicolored light. However, this is what I have in my office. But the bicolor is what we're actually utilizing in this scene right now. And the reason for that is because it gives us flexibility. It also allows for us to change based off of the mood, the conversation, all of those type of things. And so that piece is important. But these are what I call our main lights. And a main light is what is going to be showing right in front of you. So for me, I have 2 main lights right in front of me. Now, granted, you don't need that much. You could possibly just do one from up above to the right. And then I have what I call key lights, or hair lights, I should say. So the main lights are what we call key lights. And then there's your hair lights. Those are the lights that you're seeing behind me. There's also some that you are not seeing that are not showing up on camera, and those are the GVM lights. These GVM lights, I think, are quite amazing because you can hang them from drop ceilings. You can put them on the stand that it actually comes with, and it is good to serve as like background light, but they can also change in RGB, so they are colored. So they can change colors from blue, pinks, purples, you name it, to give you a deep aesthetic. If you've watched some of my other video content, you'll notice that in the videos that I was doing kind of in my office, that's the blue room, you'll notice that there was some blue light coming from behind me. Those were the GVM lights. And the thing about them is they can either be hair lights or they can give some depth and dimension and color to your videos. Now, the thing with that is you don't have to buy every last one of these things, So I want to make sure that you understand that it's important to first start off where you're at. Don't feel like, oh my God, I don't have all the bells and whistles, so I can't get started. Some people start off with a great ring light in their phone. And guess what? I'd rather you did that so that way you have that video content. But when you are ready to upgrade and go to that next level, that's when you should start looking at these various elements, and you can buy them over time. The GVM light series, it came with 3 lights in a pack. back, and it's a little bit over $300. Sometimes you can get it on sale, but about $350 is what you can expect to get, but it's about 3 of them. And granted, we're at a studio, so we did need 3, but as you go down in price in items, you can go down in price. I talked about the Shure microphones. That was about $239, but if you need one that doesn't have the XLR cable, you can get it for about $127. The Nanlite FS300B, not the 300, the FS300B, it goes anywhere, I see it on sale sometimes, but it goes anywhere from about $239 to $350. And so that's just kind of giving you a rundown. So let's talk through a quick recap of what you need for video equipment, just the basic one-on-one. Item number 1 is, of course, you need a camera. And so with that in mind, for your podcast or your video content, you want to make sure you have a camera that has a cutoff time, that's something that's within your limit. If you're a person who you talk for 30 minutes or less, a Canon M50 works just fine. And, Canon colors are a little bit more depth, so it doesn't require as much editing, whereas Sony does give you more flexibility for color grading on the back end, and that works for us because we are a studio. So first up is your camera. Next up is microphone. Now, I know I keep going between this, but your microphone is your Shure microphones, and you want to make sure it's something that's a dynamic mic. Those are the big things. So on the camera side, you want to make sure that it's cutoff time, as well as it has a mirror, because I need to be able to see myself. On the microphone side, you want to make sure it's a dynamic microphone, so that this way it's not picking up all the other noises in the room. For a camera, I always love to have a remote, just to make life easier for self versus the going back and forth and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. From a lighting perspective, you want to have a key light, which is your main light, which can come from the side or directly in front of you, depending on the mood that you're going for, as well as your hair lights, which are the lights that are going to be, in essence, illuminating your hair behind you. And lastly, and those are the Nan lights and the GVM lights. Those are the 2 that I recommend, which you can find a link to those in the show notes description. Lastly is your interface, which if you're recording by yourself, you don't necessarily need, but a Focusrite, a Rodecaster Pro, or your Zoom H8 if you're going on the road to interview your guest. And last is your tripod. So I know you're probably thinking to yourself, this is a lot of different things. Don't worry, we have a digital product and a toolkit that walks you through all of these various equipments at various price points. So on the lower end at $68 for a microphone, all the way to the higher end of $300 and something. And so feel free to download our podcast video toolkit so that this way you can improve your video quality and get off to a great start with your content. If you recognize that, I'd like to have somebody else do this for me, go ahead and reach out to us at adodemedia.com, because we're a full-service creative agency with a content studio in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, and we support brands of all sizes, creators of all sizes, with bringing their content to life. And don't worry, if you don't live in Atlanta, Georgia, we can also support you remotely. Head over to adodemedia.com, and I can't wait to work with you. And until next time, have a good one.